nature, and it would trigger her borderline personality disorder. So this would happen maybe a month into the relationship. I think the longest one that
Hey,
I saw
going
was
legends.
about a
I'm
year.
struggling a little bit here, so yeah.
But typically within the first couple of months,
Seeing if anyone's
something
about.
would trigger it.
Full grinding my
And she
teeth.
would basically go insane, and she would have
Not
to call
eating.
a neighbor or a family member
Still only
and
had one
tell
down
them to tell
on
the
day
guy to
3
get
of
out.
that.
And
Watching
she
some
never wants to speak
LFA.
to him again. And she would have to have somebody come over, like,
Hope you guys are all doing well.
me and another neighbor had to come over and help take the swing down. She couldn't call him to take the swing down. She couldn't stand to look at it herself. As a matter of fact, she couldn't even come home until she knew the swing was gone, because it would have made her totally sick to look at it. Now, she had a pretty severe mental disorder. She worked a job, and I'm sure she was good at her job. She could take care of herself, pay her own bills. She was healthy, she worked out, but she was ill mentally, and it only came out whenever she would fall deeply in love, which was very strange. But the reason why I'm telling that story is because it's almost as if the current structure or the current system of society in terms of relationships and family and friendship building is conducive to meeting the needs of someone like that. And it's not conducive to long-term relationship building in the way that most of us would like to see it. It's kind of just the way it is. We're sort of programmed to almost view people as conquests, and you never want to move backwards, right? It's kind of like in school. The conquest is to pass whatever grade you're in, whatever class you're in. And if you go backwards or you get held back, it's humiliating, it's insulting. And we're sort of programmed to be that way with relationships and friendships as well. So it's like this conquest to get laid, or to, can I get this woman to like me? Or maybe a woman wants a man to like her. And then once they establish that connection, the conquest is over. They've completed the mission. And now it's time to move on to the next. I know a lot of people think that sounds like narcissistic personality disorder. And I don't think that's the case, because narcissistic personality disorder has to, that requires a lack of empathy or an inability to empathize with other people. And I don't think that's really what it is. I think most people have an ability to empathize with other people.
My mom's going away. What the fuck?
Don't have the structure. The society isn't built in this day and age to be structured that way. If you go back to previous generations, probably the boomers and generations before them, they would have the same friends and the same extended family their whole lives. They may meet one spouse, they maybe add one best friend to the mix, but the people that they knew as kids are the same people they know when they get old. And they take care of the parents take care of the kids, and then the kids take care of the parents when the parents get old. And you kind of have these communities, and you know your neighbors. You own your homes. Like all the people on your block, all the homes are owned by families. And maybe their children own the homes when they pass away. But that's not what happens anymore. Now most people are living in apartment complexes, and if you live in an apartment complex and there's dozens or hundreds of apartments in a complex, it's likely that you don't know any of your neighbors. Maybe you know one or two, but you literally live in the same building, the same facility, with hundreds of people, and you don't know any of them. You don't even know their names. You don't know their families. You don't know what they do for a living. You don't know anything about them. And even if you live in like a suburb or a small town or even a rural area, you likely don't know your neighbors. Maybe you go to your job and you don't even know your coworkers. You walk in and you put on face and you say, "Hey, how are you doing?" But you don't know their families. You don't know anything about them. You don't know really who they are outside of work. And they're just here for this chunk of time. But eventually, whether it's the house you live in, the apartment you live in, the car you drive, the job you work at, the person you're in a relationship with, they're here for this chunk of time, but you'll move on to another chunk of time. And it's and the reason why I say it's a red pill, it's very sad to think about. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever watched the music video Time by Pink Floyd. It's a short music video, and it's a decent classic song from previous generations, but it's actually kind of like a horror movie. It's kind of scary to watch. It trips you out a little bit. It kind of just shows how fast life goes. And he I wouldn't say it goes through chunks of time, but it's just like a very quick time lapse from birth to death. And yeah, I don't know, it's something to think about. But I just think the current structure of society is really built for short-term, what have you done for me lately style of relationships. And it's not really built for long-term, and we're programmed that way. And most people have this sort of popcorn brain where they don't actually want to be with the same person for the rest of their lives. It's crazy, but seems like that's just where we're at. I don't know what we can really do to change that, because that's been the trajectory for the last 30 years. And we're moving quickly further in that direction. So, I think we just kind of have to deal with it. But what I would say, if you're somebody that recognizes this stuff, if you don't recognize it, I'm not really trying to argue with people or debate with people. I'm just kind of speaking based on what I see from my perspective. Keep in mind, I have a life. I work outside of YouTube, and I do things outside of YouTube, but I do try to study some of these subjects so I can have some interesting conversations with you guys, because I do like discussing these subjects, but it's just what I see from my perspective. Anyways, my best advice to you, if you're somebody that does see it, you do kind of understand what's been happening and the direction that we're going in. What I do, and I've been trying to figure out a way to put this into words, because it almost doesn't make sense, but I have this tendency to put women into these two different categories, and it's not really a bad way. It's not a bad thing. Really, I put people in these two categories. And people are different, whatever, but there's one category, and these are people that love stimulation. They need constant stimulation. They don't really like to focus on one thing for an extended time period. They like to be stimulated. These are the people that, they always have to be entertaining themselves somehow, or maybe they always have to be at the club, or loud music, or drinking, or smoking, or hooking up with new people constantly, and they have an excessive need for attention. These are people that just need a constant source of stimulation. And once they've burnt out the maximum level of stimulation they can get from one thing, it's not enough, and they have to go to move on to something else. A lot of people are like that. Call it what you want, but we've enabled that sort of behavior, and you can just expect to find it from both men and women. But then the other type of person is somebody that prioritizes focus. They like to focus on specific tasks. This is a person that maybe would rather be at home reading a book than being out at the club drinking and listening to loud music, right? And somebody that prioritizes focus typically views stimulation as a distraction, so they try to avoid it, right? And that's the type of people that I like to surround myself with. And you can spot them out. You can see a girl working out at the gym, and you can tell which category she's in. Is she trying to dress sexy and get attention? Is she trying to flirt with everybody and bend over in front of people and look good in front of people? Does she just have a an excessive need for attention and admiration? Or is she a girl that has her head facing forward? You know, she's focused on her muscle-mind connection, you know, really just slowly muscle-mind connection, getting the reps in, she's concentrated. And if you try to talk to her, she views it as a distraction. And not that she's bitchy or something, it's just that she's focused. And she doesn't want you to ruin her focus. And I think those are two personality types, and it's not introverted or extroverted, it's not shy or outgoing. It has nothing to do with being promiscuous or being conservative or whatever. It's just personality type. You know, some people focus on tasks, some people they need constant stimulation.
Well,
And
half an hour.
I think the people that focus on tasks, that's the kind of woman that you would want raising your kids. It's the kind of woman that, you know, she likes to read, she likes to crochet, she likes to do gardening. You know, that's the kind of woman that if she has a kid, she'll have them in the shopping cart at the store and she'll have the kid participate. Like, which ones are the blueberries? That's those. Yeah, you got it right. Good job. Which ones are strawberries? You know, very focused. Like she does things with purpose, with intent. Right. Now, here we go. We're thunderstorming again. All right, guys. I can't be having the camera and the microphone out here when it's pouring down rain. I wasn't prepared for this, so I guess we're gonna have to go ahead and shut this one off. But I hope this video was somewhat informative, and that's about it for today, guys. Until next time, see ya.
So yeah, I spoke to my mum. She's gone away. Like she wouldn't even tell me where she is. My PayPal account is minus. ANZ account minus. Still recording. I'm like withdrawing from Valium, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to see you because you're withdrawing from that, and you're shitty." That's when you need your family. Alright guys, yeah, peace out. Stay magical, stay toasted. Jazz are out.